Last time, we saw as the Saiyans found Shallot and Giblet, adding them to the crew. But along the way, they encountered King Cold earlier than expected. So how does that fight go? We'll be covering all that and more in this fifth part of What If Saiyans Were Good. Everyone goes Great Ape against King Cold. He is outnumbered, by a lot, but he's not heavily outmatched. The biggest threat to him is Broly, especially because something weird is going on with him. Cold tells everyone that he's already killed some other Saiyans recently, and these few will join them soon. There's not many Saiyans left, and this is a huge bargain. He gets to kill so many at once, including the Prince. Even with this many attacking him, and all transformed at the same time, it's not going to work. But something is strange about that Saiyan who just blocked his blast. To be safe, King Cold shot off Broly's tail the second he could. And it worked, he actually did take the tail off. The other Saiyans noticed this too. Broly's not transforming. It's weird, but there's a clear increase in his power and they can feel it continually rising. He's focused on fighting King Cold right now, but he's fighting kinda sloppy, like he's disregarding everyone else. And Paragus tries to talk with him just to see if he's fine, but Broly doesn't even respond. He's just fighting on autopilot essentially. And Broly is struggling for control right now. Something's changed within him. Unknowingly, he's awakened his wrathful form. Everyone's left confused. It's like he's using the power of Great Ape, but he doesn't actually become a Great Ape. Broly begins rampaging, and his power keeps increasing as well. King Cold is doing pretty well against the other Great Apes, but once Broly starts actually fighting him, he starts having a much bigger challenge. And Broly's able to pretty badly injure him, seemingly taking him out of the battle for good. Even gravely injuring him, or at least what seems to be a severe injury. Knowing how Frieza is able to survive a lot of attacks, King Cold actually does survive this too, but he's down for a little bit. And because Broly thinks he's defeated him, he then sets his sights on everyone else around him, which means he's attacking his own allies. Paragus steps in trying to calm Broly, but nothing's working. Thankfully, there is a shred of consciousness within Broly, and he's not attacking them as ruthlessly, and it feels like he's hesitating a bit when he fights. And it looks like Paragus is actually getting through to him. But then he feels a sharp pain behind him. Just like King Cold did to Broly, he snipes off Paragus' tail, causing Paragus to de-transform. King Cold is there with a gaping hole in his torso, but he's still able to fight somehow. He kinda regrets not training more. He knows Frieza's done so, and Frieza also does have more forms, but unlike Frieza, King Cold isn't suppressing his power right now. This is his full strength. But he sees that one Saiyan's uncontrollable. Despite his great power, King Cold might have a way to win here, especially because he can just blow up this planet and call it a day. But no, he's only going to be satisfied if he actually wins by defeating them, not just by taking a cheap shot at the planet and killing them that way. Besides, he should still at least catch some of them to get some info. It's more important that he kills Broly. Maybe he's the Super Saiyan. King Cold has no clue. There's a lot of thoughts racing through his head right now. King Cold charges as much power as possible, then, throwing both his hands up into the air, as the area around them is leveled, a massive explosion knocks all the Saiyans away, ripping off a chunk of the planet in the process. This scatters all the Saiyans and does damage them at the same time. King Cold did have to kinda hold back with that attack because it would have been really easy to blow up the planet, but that's the only way he could think of to actually separate the Saiyans. Broly's pretty much unfazed, and the only other Saiyan around them is Paragus. So, King Cold goes for Paragus, but Broly protects him. Coalescing all his power into his horns, King Cold charges at Broly, stabbing through his shoulder, then landing some melee attacks in the process. He's actually beginning to damage Broly too. He can win here, especially with Broly being so sloppy. But King Cold just pissed Broly off even more by going after Paragus like that. First of all, hurting him and taking off his tail, and then trying to just kill him right now. But Paragus can't just stand by and watch. He sticks out a hand, lending some power to Broly and healing him with spirit control. And he tries to channel the rest of his power together. He feels useless now, especially because he can't even transform anymore. He wants to help here, and more importantly, he wants to make sure Broly's safe. Partially due to spirit control allowing him to channel the power so greatly, and partially due to the mix of emotions he's feeling, Paragus undergoes a weird change. For a brief moment, he feels a huge surge of power. King Cold is about to attack Broly again, but Paragus teleports right next to him, grabbing onto his arm and blocking the attack. Even in his current state, he's not strong enough to fight King Cold, but he feels the power increase, and it serves as a good enough distraction because King Cold looks on in fear, not believing what he's seeing right now. And Broly's even stunned for a second too. Like, for a brief moment, it's like he gains a little bit of control, seeing that Paragus is okay and stronger than before. None of the three has a clue of what's happening, but Paragus tells Broly to get it together. Use that power to win here. They can get an easy victory. He teleports to Broly's side. He places an arm on Broly, trying to help his son control his power by using his own spirit control. The two are both empowered at the moment, and there's a brief moment of clarity for Broly. King Cold lifts a finger up in the air to charge an attack to destroy the entire planet. They might have escaped this on Planet Vegeta, but they won't escape it this time. Together, Paragus and Broly push back against it, then commandeering the attack as their own, adding their own ki to it, and throwing it right back at King Cold, destroying him with their combined power as the two of them power down into their base forms, watching as the attack flies far out into space, destroying every little bit of King Cold. The other Saiyans didn't get back in time to actually land any attacks on King Cold, but some got close enough to see what just happened. One of them was Vegeta, and he can't believe what he just saw. He asked Paragus what that power was. Is that something he learned on Yardrat? No, he has no clue what he did there. Same for what Broly showed off. Broly doesn't even really remember anything, except brief glimpses. Initially, Vegeta thought that Broly might be the Super Saiyan, but what Paragus showed might have actually been Super Saiyan. He has no clue because they don't really know what Super Saiyan is. They don't know if it's a form, a state of being, whatever. Maybe Broly's mutation made him a Super Saiyan. Maybe Paragus' new transformation, that was Super Saiyan. Maybe there's something in their genetics that makes them as strong as they are, hence why both of them are like this. Paragus has no clue, but what Vegeta does know is that they need to work on getting that power again. Broly's power is great, and he's definitely the strongest of them by far, even far beyond Paragus when he was transformed just now. But he doesn't have full control, so he's kind of a liability. As for Paragus, well, it makes sense. He's an elite warrior, and the new transformation he had, he was conscious while using it. So Paragus should study that power, get control on it for himself. And as for Broly, they need to work on taming him. But this is good. They're learning new things about their powers, and they defeated King Cold in the process. They got some good info out of this too. For one, King Cold made a comment about Frieza actually training and preparing for them, so they could expect Frieza to be a stronger opponent. They always knew that he was the stronger one, but this tells them that he's somewhat prepared. Also, King Cold mentioned that he did kill a few of the other Saiyans, so it makes Vegeta wonder how many he's taken out, and how many other Saiyans are left out there. It's still worth checking out the other planets that he knows of, mainly the ones that Taranbo told him about, but that is a bit concerning. The good news is they lost no Saiyans here. The bad news is, there might be less Saiyans out there than they expected. Tarble then butts in too. This entire time, Vegeta's believed in the idea of the Super Saiyan, and Tarble believes that is what they just saw. There's no other explanation. Broly's probably just mutated. As for Paragus, he's probably a Super Saiyan. Tarble was one of the more pessimistic ones, but now he's getting more hope seeing this. And he's sure there's a lot more Saiyans out there than they realize. The Saiyans are really tenacious. They're strong and unrelenting. They'll find more of them out there. And in the meantime, the rest of them will become Super Saiyans too, if that's possible. Worst case, they have one Super Saiyan on their team. And they also have Broly, who's a huge powerhouse. So the Saiyans begin planning their next step of their journey. Meanwhile for Frieza, it's business as usual for him. Days pass and then weeks pass. He often goes long periods of time without hearing from King Cold, but this is different. Usually it's no more than a couple of days. It was last reported that King Cold stopped by on some planet, and scouters from the troops around him picked up some powers nearby. It was only a handful of small powers, but they've disappeared and there's been no contact from any of those people, nor from King Cold himself. Frieza can only assume one thing happened. The Saiyans are making their move, and they beat King Cold, which means they're actually stronger than Frieza realized. And it has to be a group. It's not a single Saiyan or a handful of them, there's an actual squad out there somewhere. Frieza quickly coalesces all of his troops together, sending them to that general area, giving them the task to find the Saiyan squad as quickly as possible. He still hasn't dealt with that other threat yet either, that one that wiped out the Ginyu Force. Things are falling apart really quickly for him. Now, Frieza has trained, and he's prepared to fight the Saiyans when he actually finds them. The issue was he couldn't find them for the longest time. Now he might actually have a lead, but it's not as great as he expected because, first of all, the Saiyans are stronger than he realized, and there still is that other enemy out there. That also might be another squad of Saiyans somehow, or completely unrelated. He doesn't realize that it's Turles and his group, so it's a small group, but there is one Saiyan there. He's assuming the worst case scenario right now. There are two squads of Saiyans out there, and because they're all fighting around the same time, he thinks they're coordinating, and maybe they're going to meet up soon. This assumption, of course, is wrong. He doesn't realize Turles' group is completely separate. But that makes Frieza want to be a little bit more cautious here, and it also makes him more antsy to find the Saiyans. Maybe the Heaters know something, so he tries to consult them again. But once more, it's been a while since he's heard from them. We'll get back to that in a bit. What's going on with Turles' group? Well, Turles stumbles upon something interesting. He returns to the same solar system where Planet Vegeta once was. He knows that around here there were some Saiyan outposts. Of course, they've been long cleared out. The Frieza Force did attack these planets because some Saiyans actually did escape to these planets because they didn't really have time to go anywhere else. And pretty much all of them died in the process here. But on these nearby planets, there are some things left behind, some outposts that the Saiyans had. And there's plenty of data left behind too. Lots of info about Saiyan history that Turles can use as research. Some of the Saiyans actually took this with them because they wanted to preserve some sort of Saiyan history. Right now, Turles is trying to piece together everything he knows about Saiyan history, and find out more info in the process as well. Turles also realized that Frieza might have more data and more info on the history of the Saiyans, but of course that would be held with the Frieza Force. He needs to go directly to Frieza and raid whatever databases he has. From what he understands, there is a hidden piece of Saiyan history that he could take advantage of because there's a lot of gaps and he can't figure out why. A good chunk of Saiyan history did die with the planet itself, but the pieces are out there, he just needs to connect them. In the meantime, he's going to continue getting more fruits from the Tree of Might as well, growing stronger in the process in case he can't find out anything else. As for the other squad of Saiyans, they continue to train and grow stronger, but can't locate any other Saiyans. More weeks pass and there's still nothing. It looks like King Cold actually did get to some of the planets that Vegeta was going to go to. They might have been a tad too late, and that kind of angers Vegeta, because it wasn't too long ago when he got this info from Taranbo. That was only a few months ago, so from the point that wish was made up until now, Somewhere between that time frame is when some of these Saiyans disappeared. He can't help but kick himself for it, but he's going to make it right. He's been thinking of possibly resurrecting all of the Saiyans, but he's not really too sure about that. First, he'd have to find a set of Dragon Balls that can do that. Taranbo can, and apparently there are other Dragon Balls out there because look at what happened with Namek. He's not sure if any of the planets he's come across have Dragon Balls though. They actually don't know Earth has a set, but that's fine. Once everything was settled with Frieza, Vegeta was considering reviving the Saiyans and then using another wish to make their own new planet. But they would need a couple of different wishes. First, they would need to actually have a planet, then they'd have to send all the Saiyan souls there, and then revive the Saiyans, so they would need 3 separate wishes. It's kind of a long shot, but it's an idea that he keeps in mind. These losses aren't in vain, and maybe he has a way of reversing all of this. But in the meantime, they're growing much stronger. King Cold's fight with them actually injured them a bit too, and helped exploit their Zenkais in the process, so there was some good to come out of that as well. Now back to Frieza. Frieza still can't get in contact with the Heaters, and he suspects by now that they're dead. But someone else then comes to him. One of their affiliates who operates in another galaxy. Frieza actually reached out to this guy instead. He was defeated by the Saiyans centuries ago, but didn't die. He's been working underground, trying to remain covert and still making money, but it's been a lot less stable. Frieza only knows of him through the Heaters actually. Whatever happened all those years ago was so bad that the Kaio were about to seal away this guy. But he picked a fight with some of the Saiyans and they were able to overcome him. So this entire time he's been under the radar, alongside the rest of his clan too, and they still operate in the shadows. The reason Frieza was looking for the Heaters is because he does need more allies at the moment, and he's not really too fond of the Heaters, but he knows they could at least work for him if he paid them enough. And with no Heaters, well, that only leaves this group. He wasn't sure if he can get in contact with them, but thankfully he did. Frieza's actually never met him in person, and he introduces himself, Lord Frieza, ruler of the Frieza Force. To stay cordial, the man introduces himself too. His name is Bojack. He assumes Frieza has a business proposition, and yeah, that's exactly what this is. He asks why he should even work for Frieza, and he doesn't say this out loud, but he thinks he's stronger than Frieza, so why would he work under Frieza? What he doesn't realize is that Frieza has trained too, so neither group knows which is stronger at the moment. None of this is spoken, but they all read between the lines. Frieza has lots of money. Plus, the Saiyans are still out there, and they're enemies of Bojack too. Not to mention they killed the Heaters, who were allies to Bojack. Frieza says that his father and the Ginyu Force are gone, assuming the Saiyans are responsible. So he needs as many strong allies as possible, especially with his troops shrinking. And they come to an agreement. Bojack's team takes a massive down payment, with another huge bonus on top of that if they actually find the Saiyans and kill them. Dead or alive, it doesn't matter anymore. Frieza and his group of course are going to continue their search, but now he has Bojack and the Hera clan on a retainer, sort of working alongside the Frieza Force. With that, we'll leave off here for now. What'd you guys think about this part? What's going to happen next time? Leave your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help with the channel, and it shows me you want to see more videos like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.